Welcome to the Silverman Show on this bright and cheerful, cold Saturday morning. My guest today is Maria Dimakas, an expert on condominiums and condominium law, which is sometimes a minefield, particularly for those who move into condominiums. Anyway, welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Peter. Nice to be back.
We, some time ago, we were talking about the 3 Ps. It's the 3 Ps about condominiums: pets, parking,
and people.
And people.
You can't forget that.
That's it. And how come there's such an issue? People I can understand. People are unpredictable and certainly are not rational, but poor old pets get caught in the crossfire. Things like you cannot have a dog over so much weight and everything.
That's right. And restrictions of that nature, or other, I guess, more prominent issues are noise and other nuisances. But pets do play a pretty central role in condo living. They are part of the community. They're part of people's homes. And there are certain things that boards of directors and condos can do to restrict pets. And, of course, that plays on owners' lives. It has an effect on owners' lives. And for the most part, things don't work out very well in many cases.
When you, I remember we mentioned this one of the times you were on, when I was doing the Silverman Help Show, we had a real fight on behalf of a person who had a British bulldog. He looked like Winston Churchill, actually. The dog, that is, not the owner. And they, at the end of the day, they gave up the condo.
Yes.
Because of the dog, because the condo board dug in. And this dog, he wasn't huge. He was, about maybe 2 feet across, but of girth.
That's
so
right.
Say he was, he was fairly weighty. But the condo board was adamant.
Yeah.
It was above the weight level it had to go, so they sold the condo.
And many owners do that for their pets. Many owners do that. Other owners, of course, do put up a challenge where they are able to, and boards do have certain rights to make certain restrictions on pets as well. So it's a balancing act. It's a bit of a challenge, and I know we have a caller coming in about this issue specifically, actually.
Yes, Sarah.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Not too bad. And here you are with your condo issue.
Yeah, I definitely have an issue.
Okay, go.
So basically, I'm in one of those situations where I have a pet restriction in my building that I didn't know about when I moved in. And I have a really pet-friendly building, so I'm trying to change the rule, but the board specifically is kind of resistant to it. So I've started kind of the legal process of changing it, but they're kind of making up rules as they go along that I don't think are right. So I was just hoping I could get an answer as to whether they are following legal process or not, really.
Okay. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Thank you. I took a look at your email, and it gave some pretty interesting detail. Chances are, when you got your status certificate package, when you first purchased the unit, the rules were, I'm assuming the rules may have already been in effect, or at least the restriction relating to dogs would have already been in effect.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, the process that you're going through right now is that legal process that we call a requisition process, and that enables you, as well as other owners, to essentially petition a meeting of owners in order to either do away with a rule, propose an amendment to a rule, or even add a new rule. So it looks like you're trying to get rid of the pet weight restriction and perhaps even the number of pets that you may have in your unit.
It's just a change to the number. We're keeping the pet weight restriction at 100 pounds.
Okay.
So a combined weight, actually, so that you can only have small pets.
Okay. Well, a couple of interesting questions that you raised in your email were, what do you do how do you go about collecting votes? And once you've, I guess, submitted that petition, do you have to get more signatures or more votes?
Yeah.
A requisition is a 2-phased process. Phase 1 is actually getting the document, the petition itself, signed by at least 15% of all of your owners in your building.
Yeah,
which is done, right? And that essentially is your request for a meeting. Under the Condominium Act, once the board receives, assuming a valid requisition document, there are some technicalities that have to be satisfied, and it looks like you've done that already because they are calling that meeting. Once that's completed, the board has 35 days to call and hold the meeting to deal with the issue on that petition. And what you then do as an owner, and what other owners can do, both those in favor of the rule change or those against the proposed rule change is collect proxies, collect support in to vote either for or against the proposed rule.
Yeah.
Now, I know in your case you asked, what is the voting threshold? The voting
Yeah,
threshold.
the percentage actually required at the meeting or not. Because
Correct.
they're saying that it has to be 51% of my whole building.
No.
But a lawyer told me it has to be, as long as there's quorum at the meeting, so the 25%, that it only has to be the majority of that quorum.
Not even. You do have to have quorum at your meeting. First off, it's definitely not 50% or a majority of all of the ownership. That's guaranteed. That's not the case. You do have to have quorum at any owner's meeting, which means 25% of your units have to be represented at that meeting. But the voting threshold is the majority of the votes actually cast. So you can have 25% of your ownership there, but not all 25% are required to vote, nor do you have to get the majority of the 25% in favor. All you have to do is get a majority in favor of the votes cast. So for those people who submit a ballot or deposit a ballot, or who provide their proxy and indicate how they want to vote on their proxy, it's just a majority of the number of proxies and ballots collected and deposited.
Okay.
Okay.
And do you know then, the only other thing that I felt that they were kind of being dishonest with me about was they're saying that I'm not allowed to collect the people's proxies myself, because I already had about 70 signatures on an original petition, and those people were expecting me to come around and get their proxy votes because most people don't go to the meeting. Now, the board of directors of my building is saying that I'm not allowed to take people's proxies myself.
There's no restriction to collect or canvass for proxies in the Condominium Act. Now, this would be a very rare case, but if your building has a rule or perhaps even a bylaw restricting canvassing among owners for proxies, that might be something you're looking at, but I've never seen that.
Not in the status, yeah. I've definitely read it, and that was what I said to them. I was like, where in writing does it say it in the Condo Act? Because they're trying to...
Yes, it certainly is not listed anywhere in the Condo Act, but even more importantly, even if it were a rule or a policy, perhaps, or even a bylaw that was passed by the board, that may not necessarily be valid in the first place. But you are free to go ahead and collect proxies and canvass for them as well.
Okay, perfect.
Doing it politely, of course.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I felt I already had enough votes to get it passed, and that's why all of these kind of stall tactics have been kind of frustrating for me.
Well, board of directors, I think, are like every other human institution. They have turf.
Yeah.
They don't like challenges.
And Peter speaks from experience because he is a director on his condo as well.
I wasn't going to say that,
exactly
but all sorts of things kick in that may appear to be completely illogical, but nevertheless, when you look at it in terms of people's personalities and so on and so forth, make perfect sense. So this is some of the issues that can emerge. If everything was perfectly logical and rational, and all condominium boards, or all boards of directors, wherever they were, dealt in that type of thing, or on the basis of rationality and common sense, my program wouldn't be on the air.
And I wouldn't have a job either.
And I wouldn't have a job either, that's for sure. But, yes, indeed, but it doesn't happen that way. Anyway, thanks for your call. I hope that sorts it out. And now it's 11:15, News Talk 1010 Time Saver Traffic, and here's Stu Andrews.